This is Mike calling in from Texas. Mike, you're live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hey, Dan and Seth. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic.
All right. Well, I'm a, I guess, atheist secular humanist. I'm a former devout evangelical Christian myself. And, it's kind of interesting. I heard a couple callers at the beginning of the show saying, I went through the evidence and I'm convinced Jesus, is the Son of God, da, 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 da. And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. I went through that same process when I doubted my faith. And I, read Bart Ehrman and I watched debates on the resurrection and looked at the evidence of evolution. And I'm sitting there going, to me, the evidence isn't there. And I painfully deconverted from devout evangelicalism, possibly going into the ministry, to being a secular humanist. I mean, I just don't, I concluded after many years of research off and on that it's just not true to me. So I kind of went through the opposite experience that one of your first callers went through. So I'm sitting there hearing her go, oh, Jesus is the Son of God. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, but what about, the Gospels being written by anonymous authors, and as you watch Bart Ehrman and debate and all those type of things. But anyways, I just don't think the evidence is there. But anyways, I was just curious. I'm closeted. My parents don't know that I've deconverted. My parents are in the ministry. My family, they're extremely devout evangelical Christians, conservatives. I love them dearly. They're good people, but they still don't know. Just real quick, what are some tips from both of you guys that you can give me as I can sort of reveal myself as a secular humanist to them? Say, hey, I don't believe this, anymore. I was just kind of thinking about that. I haven't told them yet, but what are y'all's thoughts?
Yeah. So the first thing you have to think about is this a conversation worth having? And maybe you have thought about this, maybe you haven't, but it is something to consider, right? Is your relationship with them close enough, or is it really dependent enough on your religious belief or lack thereof for you to continue having it? Now, with parents, a lot of times that answer can be yes, because they might invite you to like religious events, or maybe want to talk about you with other religious members of the family. So that might be important enough for you to do that. It sounds like maybe you've made that decision, but it's good to kind of rethink things, because you can kind of continue to live in the closet and be okay with it. Or if it's causing you enough stress, like it did for me, you kind of just let it all out. As far as tips on how to do it, for myself, my parents watched this show and other things first before I told them. So that was really awkward. And my biggest regret was that I didn't get to tell them myself at first. They kind of saw me in a different context than what they're used to seeing. And so they were really kind of scared and confused. They're like, what the heck? Dan was this good young Christian boy. Why is he on the internet saying curse words and talking about how he doesn't believe in Jesus? But, I say, tell your story. Make sure they know your story first, and tell them about your journey. I think that's the best thing you can do, because people like stories. And I think you'll find that they'll be more empathetic if you say, yeah, I've had some doubts and I came to these different conclusions, because I think if most people are honest, most Christians are honest, they probably had doubts too. And you don't have to get into the specifics. I don't think that's really great for a first conversation, because you're just kind of letting it out there. But also just reminding them that, hey, even though I've come to these different conclusions, that doesn't mean I want to change my relationship with you in any way. I still am your child, and I want to continue being in your life, but it may look differently from now on, because I may have some boundaries, or I may have some things, that I want to enforce, and I think that's the absolute, ideal, healthiest thing you can do. Unfortunately, reality doesn't always match what's ideal. And, they may get upset, and they may try to throw digs at you, and they may try to, talk about your past, or, gaslight you in some way. I mean, they can do a lot of things in this conversation. I don't know your family, but it's important that you just remain patient and remain calm, because they're kind of getting this hit all at once. You've had a whole journey to kind of process things, and they're getting hit with the first wave. So it may not come out pretty, but hopefully by the time they've finished processing it, they can kind of hear what you're saying. So Seth, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting, because if I think your evangelical parents, if someone ever said, you need to stay in the closet, don't speak out, don't tell anyone, which is what you might be afraid they would ever say to you. That's a standard they would never apply to themselves. They
Yep,
would
yep,
never
yep.
let someone else say, "You're not going to tell me who I am. You're not going to tell me not to be me or to speak to my values. I'm going to speak out." And that's a double standard that exists in many cultures and many families, where the non-believer is expected to sit on their hands and make peace, which isn't really peace. It's just an absence of conflict. And there's a difference between peace and the mere absence of conflict. You deserve an authentic life. You have every right to take your journey on your terms as much as they do. I will also say this: you don't owe them a goddamn thing. You don't owe them an explanation.
Yep.
Right? You decide if you would like to tell them, if ultimately you feel like it's important and it's something that you need to do and it's necessary as part of your journey. I respect that. I think that's amazing, and you totally should. I think it's healthy for them to know.
Yeah.
But it's not like, well, I got to tell my parents because they're my parents. Nah, you don't have to tell anybody. Your journey is really about you. The second piece of advice I would give you is this: if and when you tell them, and Dan touched on this, they may kick into panic and then fix you mode, conversion mode, right? Oh, we trained up a child in the way that he should go, and he's departed from it. Now we got to fix it, and they're going to panic and freak out. And before you know it, you'll find yourself arguing data points instead of making that first conversation what it at its core needs to be: the declaration of here's where I am on my journey.
Yep.
Do not get sucked into a debate.
Yep.
If and when you tell them where you are in the journey that you're going through. And I would frame it as a journey. I'm kind of going through this journey. I don't sit on the couch and go tit for tat, data point to data point. This has been refuted. This is actually wrong. This is immoral, blah, blah, blah. It's so easy to do because we have so much to say. That is not the time to have that conversation. Keep the first one short. Keep it tight. Keep it on message. Stay calm. And once you've said what you're going to say, then get out of there and give them a chance to process this. And then the deeper conversations can happen down the way.
Yeah.
But those conversations are predicated on your decision that this is what's right for you, because you don't owe it to anybody else. Your journey is about you. Okay?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. Awesome. That helps a lot out, guys. Thank you.
Let us know how it goes, brother.
Yes. Please call if you can. If you have time, Mike, I'd love to hear how that conversation goes.
Oh, I definitely will call back. Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Mike.
Brother.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
call.